Good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, November 21st, 2025. This is a regular meeting of the Commissioners of the City of Rehoboth Beach. We're live in City Hall Commissioners Room on the second floor. Thank you for being here today. I'd like to call this meeting to order at exactly 2 o'clock p.m. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In lieu of calling a roll call, and we'll have the minutes reflect that all the mayor and commissioners are present. Therefore, we're able to formally conduct business as we have a quorum. With that, I'd like to also thank everybody that's watching virtually and thank those that are here in person. Those in person, we welcome your input, and public comment rules are at the end of the agenda, including a mention of a 3-minute time limit. So start your preparation on your thoughts now, if you would. Also want to remind everybody, including the commissioners, that we would like you to get acknowledged by the chair first to be given the floor before you speak or offer a comment. Want to remind everybody that support documents, those are documents that support our individual agenda items when they're ready sufficient time ahead of the meeting, are embedded in the agenda so you get to see what we get to see. Lastly, there are a slight change in the agenda. Everything's in normal order. Just when we get down to the minutes, there's a couple corrections to make. With that, we're going to start off with proclamation recognizing Small Business Saturday on November 29th, 25. The Vice President Gossett's going to join me. And we'd like Carol, you, and any other representatives of the Chamber or Main Street to join us up here. If we have any. Except I want you next to me.
You want
No,
Carol next to
you're fine. You're fine. We have representatives of the Main Street, Carol Diefendorfer, and also representative of the Chamber of Commerce, Carol Everhart, here today. Patrick's going to do the honors to save my voice a little bit.
The proclamation, Small Business Saturday, November 29, 2025. Whereas the City of Rehoboth Beach celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions that they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Association, there are 33.2 million small businesses in the United States. And whereas 65% of the U.S. small business owners said it would be most helpful to their business to have their regulars return and make purchases, and 3/4 of the U.S. consumers are currently looking for ways to shop small and support the community. And whereas 100% of consumers who shopped on Small Business Saturdays agree that shopping in small, independently owned businesses supports that commitment to making purchases that have a positive social, economic, and environmental impact on 97% of the consumers who shopped on Small Business Saturdays agree that small businesses are essential for the community. And whereas the City of Rehoboth Beach supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities, and whereas the City of Rehoboth Beach supports and joins the national effort to recognize the contribution of small businesses to the American economy and their importance in ensuring that our local communities remain as vibrant tomorrow as they are today. And now, therefore, we, Stan Mills and Board Vice President Patrick Gossett, do hereby proclaim November 29, 2025 as Small Business Saturday. We urge the residents of the community and communities around the country to support small businesses and their merchants on Small Business Saturdays and throughout the year. Proclaim this 21st day of November 2025, Stan Mills Mayor, Patrick Gossett, Board Vice Chair. Thank you.
We'll get you one too to share.
Perfect.
Thank you. You stay up here, young lady.
Young lady, okay.
It's always, let me slide over around here.
it's kind of heavy.
Okay.
This is an etched glass piece that says, from the city of Rehoboth Beach, thanks Carol Everhart for over 30 years of service, leadership, and dedication. We appreciate your passion, gift of Sea Witch, and commitment to our communities, dated 2025.
Oh,
There
thank
you
you.
go. 30 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for everything that you do for the community and will continue to do. The chamber is one of the best that I've seen throughout my career. I really, really appreciate just everything you do.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. With that, we're moving on. There is no correspondence in my hand, so we'll move on to approval of minutes. The changes to the agenda are the following. The first two lines on the agenda for executive sessions, those 2 minutes are not yet ready. The 2 regular meetings noted are not yet ready, but we do have 3 sets of minutes to approve today. And that is a special meeting held on, note this, held on November 10th, 2025. That's a little clerical error on our part. And also for approval, workshop meeting held on September 8th, 2025 and November 10th, 2025. Are there any changes or corrections? Are there any corrections that need to be made to the 3 sets of minutes I noted? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the 3 sets of minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Who firsted? We have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gossin, a second by Commissioner Suzanne Good, to approve the special meeting minutes on November 10th, 2025, and 2 sets of workshop meetings minutes on September 8th and November 10th, 2025. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And those 3 sets of minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ann. With that, we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Good afternoon. Yesterday was a special day in the city of Rehoboth Beach as our annual Christmas tree was installed at the bandstand in anticipation of next week's tree lighting and sing-along. For the first time, we proactively publicized the installation in advance, and it was great to see a lot of residents and visitors gather to watch the process firsthand. The 6,000-pound tree was cut from the Theros site in Lewis and transported to Rehoboth Beach and installed in about 5 hours. This effort really required strong collaboration. We extend our sincere thanks to Harry Caswell, LLC, for cutting and transporting the tree, and to Harry himself for scouting out trees all year long to find the perfect tree. George W. Plummer for providing and operating the crane. Delmarva Power for assistance with the rigging. Steve Smick Jr., former state representative. Alistair Probert with DelDOT Southern Division, and Jen Coverdale with State of Delaware, who donated the tree. And of course, our police department for safely escorting the tree down Route 1 and Rehoboth Avenue. Our city crews have also already spent over a month decorating our streets, and now are busy stringing lights and decorating the tree ahead of next week's lighting. So we're very excited to enter this festive season and deeply appreciate everyone that made it possible. As a follow-up to last Monday's Board of Commissioners discussion regarding potential bandstand closures during the summer concert series, the Chamber's Downtown Rehoboth Advisory Task Force has scheduled a meeting this Monday at 10 a.m. in the Convention Center. The conversation will focus on the bandstand performance area, and downtown business owners have been invited to provide feedback. In the coming weeks, this input will help guide our decisions on the future of the summer concert series. I did want to provide an update regarding Public Works. Our wastewater operator certifications. Tawan Mallory passed his level 4 wastewater operator exam, which is a really big deal. Demetrius Lopez and Oliver Velasquez Rodriguez also passed their level 3 exams, so congratulations to all three. We're really fortunate to have Paul Hignut, our wastewater department head, who also teaches wastewater courses at Delaware Tech and provides hands-on guidance, training, and leadership to our team. The Surf Avenue walkway has been completed and reconstructed with wood. And the water main replacement and paving project, we are nearing completion of that annual water main replacement and paving. Remaining items include utility adjustments, punch list work, and demobilization, which is all expected to be completed early next week. And additional information will be shared during the CIP update. And as you might have heard, the City of Rehoboth Beach achieved a perfect score on our 2025 Municipal Equality Index conducted by the Human Rights Campaign. The MEI examines how inclusive municipal laws, policies, and services are of LGBTQ plus people who live and work there. Cities are rated based on non-discrimination laws. The municipality is an employer, municipal services, law enforcement, and leadership on LGBTQ plus equality. And our score really demonstrates the strong and invaluable partnership that we have with Camp Rehoboth, who guided the city through the process. This was a huge improvement of last year's score, which was a 61, and now we are one of about 1,300 cities nationwide that has a 100 score. And last but not least, this month, related to street aid, we had a payment of $12,010.39 to Delmarva Power and $1,947.50 to Apple Electric. And I am here for any questions you may have.
Any questions from the commissioners? Thank you
If
very
I
much.
just
Commissioner Gossett?
further comment on the Human Rights Campaign score. I know that we have been working on that for a number of years, and just pay special recognition to Evan Miller and all the folks at Camp Rehoboth to put this together. It was an effort and a very joint effort between Camp Rehoboth, which we are very grateful to have such an organization in the city, and working with the city to gain this score and the recognition that we've so longly deserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Thank you very.
I have
Commissioner,
a question.
Stewart?
I have a sense that you are getting bombarded with emails from commissioners, and I think we're all here to help the city run more smoothly. How difficult would it be for you to, using AI perhaps, to prepare a report that would give us a sense of sort of how many contacts you're getting per commissioner, even if so we can all review it internally to sort of gauge whether we're outliers and how much we're contacting you, or, you know, I don't know if that's helpful or if it's an added burden.
Sure, I'll look into it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, you done? Very good. We'll move on to the city solicitor's report. Lisa?
No report, Mayor.
No report. Thank you very much. With that, we move on to the departmental reports. As you know, there's, and can see, there's 4 reports embedded in the agenda, but we do have an oral report today on an update on capital improvement projects. Henry, are you the lead?
Thanks, Ann. Afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, members of the public. So I'm just going to give a quick update on some capital improvement projects. Going to talk really about a few of them that don't get the publicity as some, and some are definitely not as visible, both figuratively and literally. In the street CIP, the one that you see here, where there's a stormwater assessment and relining repair of stormwater piping. This one you see here is on the western edge of Silver Lake on Stokely Street. And this repair was just completed. It cost about $100,000. And it was a 38 by 60 elliptical pipe that there was a small sinkhole started in the property owner's lawn last year. That had happened several years ago also, and temporary repairs had been done twice. So it's kind of a shot across the bow. So we did the permanent repairs that you can see on the before on the left and the after on the right, which basically fills the holes and then puts a quarter in it to a half-inch thick lining on the pipe. And we're probably going to do some more of this next year in CIP. Next is Fleet Services Shop. We had $35,000 budgeted in CIP for a new lift. Fleet Service Manager was able to find a vendor that would inspect and certify the lift. So we basically pivoted on that. So we installed two 10-foot fans in the shop that will provide cooling in the summer and push heat back down in the winter. It was done at the end of summertime. Two were installed, $12,000 total. It's a big win, and the employees in Fleet Services are very pleased with it. Okay. The Tidewater Interconnect, we've spoken about this a lot. Over 2 years, $130,000 was budgeted. The total cost was $214,000. It was put out to bid and George and Lynch performed all the work. It really increases the resilience of our system, especially in the summer if we have an issue at well 8. And we just did a test this week with well 8 off and turning the interconnect on, and we're able to get 500 gallons a minute, which is pretty significant and actually a little bit better than we were anticipating. So the Water Department and I really appreciate your approving that project and the completion of it. So again, the goal on this is to have it there, but not have to use it. The city manager mentioned the paving and water main project, that it's almost complete. Couple things I want to highlight. Over the last 2 years, was looking to something to really do that, not just replaced it, but improve the street. Last year, the assistant city manager and I, really right before going out to bid, took a walk on First Street and decided to add curbs on First Street to the project that initially wasn't on the bid package. And I think that was a huge win. Heard a lot of comments on it, that it looks a lot better with the curbs. It's a lot safer. The pavement will last longer. And this year, on Christian Street at Baird, where on the north side of the street on Christian, there was no sidewalk at Baird for, I think it was about 130 feet. The curb ramps at Baird, which were probably the two worst in the city, are now redone, fully ADA compliant, and there is a sidewalk now going down the full length of Christian Street. And on that project, real quick, compared to last year, we offer the opportunity for homeowners to redo their sidewalks or curb ramps at the unit pricing that the city gets. And last year on Merlin and First, well, probably the nature of the street, we only had a few takers on this. This year we had about between, I think, close to 10 homeowners that did take advantage of that unit pricing. So if you walk down Munson Street, I think it looks pretty good. Wastewater. Here's a belt filter press on the left that makes cake.
Well, you know.
And we've obviously talked about this quite a bit. So this is part of Phase 3B. That will be completed this year. $2.4 million was budgeted for it. It'll be a couple $100,000 under that. I had $2.3 million budgeted for Phase 4, and we're going to spend very little of that this year. So obviously that'll be pushed forward into subsequent fiscal years. More to come on that during budget time. But since we have that, we wanted to take advantage of some smaller projects. This on the right, on the top right, is the roof of St. Lawrence Pump Station, which is in need of replacement. So we're probably going to replace it with, that's actually an AI render drawing of a green tin roof, We're going to do that most likely there and at Lake Gerard also, again, pivoting some of that money. Before the end of the year, be coming to you probably in January for the meter, annual meter replacements, and we'll be most likely purchasing, at least putting a deposit on the PFAS tanks, the carbon tanks for the PFAS treatment. So a lot more to come on that in subsequent months. So here, any questions?
Any questions? Commissioner Saunders?
Thank you, Henry. My ears perked up when you talked about the shared cost of the sidewalks on Christian Street, because I know Mr. Tedder and I have spoken about that, doing that on a citywide basis of some sort. And so I'd just like to ask you if you could, to keep that on the top of your pile, and perhaps we'd love to see what the cost to the city was in each one of those properties, just as an example.
Sure, not a
Thank you.
problem. Thank you.
Anybody? Anybody? Commissioner Thier?
Thank you, Mayor. So the PFAS tanks, so there was money in this year's budget, and again, I'm trying to go from recollection here, from memory. There's money in this year's budget to purchase PFAS tanks. So have we spent that yet, or is that the deposit you're referring to?
That's the deposit I'm referring to. We have not spent it yet.
Okay.
Of my departments, water is the one that's probably the one that has a potential of going over this year. But we'll have to see what deposit is required. It is, if I remember right, a 40-week lead time on the tanks.
With water and going over, having the potential to go over, since you brought this up, how much are you going to go over, and what's driving that overage?
Part of it is the tanks and also we still have I think it was $485,000 budgeted for the meter replacement, which none of that has been spent yet.
Okay.
And it'll depend on what we work out with the vendor as far as the tanks and the required deposit.
Okay, so the overage is going to be related to the meter replacement and the PFAS tanks. I'm guessing you're anticipating the PFAS tank, they're both going to cost more than you anticipated them to cost, or with the water meters, you're just going to do more than you thought you would do?
Now, the water meter should be at or slightly under. That's kind of what it has been in the past. But the PFAS, we're still talking with Pannoni Brothers and Calgon, that's the tank manufacturer, of what's required for the deposit.
Your sense on how much over that's going to be, because it's not an insignificant amount of money, if I recall correctly, for the tank.
Correct. For the deposit, if we go over 100,000 or two.
Okay. The water meters, it's almost December, so are you going to get those done? So you're going to spend that money in this current fiscal year?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. It's usually a 4-week installation project. It's put out to bid, I think we did in January last year.
Okay.
And it's weather dependent, obviously, but February, March, it should get done. It'll get done this year.
Okay. You referenced, or you mentioned taking, phase 4, which again was significant amount of money getting pushed into next year. You just have to keep in mind with anything related to wastewater that, we're just a small percent, we're a fractional percentage of the total spend, right? So if we had budgeted, if we had put in the capital budget, say $3 million, let's say $3 million, because it's an easy number to work off of, that's really $1 million, right? Because we're roughly a third of that. So I just want to make sure we kind of keep that in mind. If you're going to swap out, if you're not going to spend money this year on phase 4 and it's going to get pushed to next year, let's kind of keep in mind that what you have potentially to spend is not $3 million, it's $1 million. Okay, so it's 1, 2. Smaller projects, I don't want to start throwing limits out here, but we're over on some things already this year, we're under on some things already this year, so I just want to make sure that we're tracking to budget, okay, overall, and that would be my, message.
Yes,
So,
fair enough.
Okay. I'll look down here to Mr. Tedder as well.
Anybody else?
So, thank you.
Mayor,
Commissioner Good?
Thank you, Henry. And yeah, I personally and other people I know are quite pleased with the increased safety, fewer tripping hazards by the installation of those curbs in conjunction with the project. I just had a couple quick questions, including that Stokely Street stormwater pipe that you've now patched, it sounds like 2 consecutive years, like a year ago and then again recently. Is that one of the pipes flowing towards Silver Lakes that under the, I think it was in 2021 or early 2022, that the contractor had recommended replacing entirely? Do you happen to know?
I don't know about replacing entirely, but this was not a patching that was done. The patching was done last year at a small cost. I think it was maybe $6,000 or $7,000. But no, this repair is a permanent repair. It's very impressive if you go inside the pipe and again, it's a permanent repair that's actually meant for capable of much higher velocities and flow rates that we see here.
Oh, that's good news, although
Yeah.
I'm sure you're more aware than anyone else in this city, there are really approximately $1 to $1.5 million of stormwater pipe repairs that need to be done beginning soon. So, but it's good to hear that one will be good for the long haul. My last, of course, I'm sure you were disappointed when the anticipated $130,000 cost of that Tidewater resiliency redundancy ended up being $214,000, which is 65% higher. But at least you've had some savings. But I just think going forward, it's an indication that we've had a number of instances where we're having trouble estimating accurately what the actual expenditures will be, probably because the cost of this sort of specialized, fairly heavy industrial work, just look at what's happened. It's been reported. So I know you negotiated a rate with Henlope and Acres if they do need to, on an emergency basis to draw from us. But I'm hoping they'll be like, we'll make sure that we ask the people who on the margin will be the reason that we even need to rely on this Tidewater interconnection, like if we have just very high demand in July or other circumstances. So we make sure that those people are bearing the cost of this $214,000 expense rather than in-town water and wastewater customers. That would be, my aspiration there.
Thank you, Suzanne. With that,
Thank you.
you have anything else? Thank you, Henry. With that, board and commission reports are embedded electronically. Board of Adjustment and Planning Commission, the Parks and Shade Tree Commission has not met in a while, I don't believe. So they have no reports. With that, we're going to move on to committee reports. City Streets and Safety Advisory Committee. Mark, you submitted something
I did.
in writing, but you also indicated you might do something oral.
Yes, if I
And
can take
if
a
you
moment.
would.
Am I ready to go ahead?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I understand completely that we have a form for this sort of thing, but the form isn't quite ready yet. So that's why I just sort of went free form. I believe everybody has a copy of it. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just so that you know that the first meeting of the city's Streets and Safety Advisory Committee did meet. We had some great brainstorming sessions. We had Chief Banks helping us out there. We had a good number of people from the public. We had prior members of other committees that gave testimony as to what they had been working on when those committees were closed and whether those were still relevant factors or not. And after several hours, we were able to distill it down to around 20 items that we thought should be worth consideration. Now, we did not, of course, want to bring you 20 items today, so we put them in order of priority over the past couple of days. And I've come up with about 5 items that the committee feels are priority items general enough that they can take in various aspects, but not too general that they're wide open, if that makes any sense. And I'll just go over these very quickly, if I may. The first one is to discuss and recommend issues concerning the consolidation of seasonality regulations. Of course, we're talking about there, everything from the dates of the dogs on the boardwalk are different than the bicycles on the boardwalk, that are different from the dumpsters on the street, that are different from parking. We think there should be two, well, I won't say what we think until we come back to you with the recommendation, but I think many people think that there should be two seasons, one on-season and off-season, and not all the various minor seasons, like dogs on the boardwalk, for instance, dogs on the beach. Secondly, we'd like to review the traffic concerns that we've been receiving from the public and to look at any calming measures. Mr. Decker was kind enough to consolidate a good number of them for us into a report that we read and carefully added to it. Thirdly, we'd like to study and make recommendations considering all non-motorized vehicles that are not automobiles, which is just a nice way of saying e-boards, scooters, e-bikes. We've had a number of concerns of people, particularly on the boardwalk and on Rehoboth Avenue, where these e-scooters will come down at 30 miles an hour and, you know, run into the dogs that aren't supposed to be on the boardwalk. So we'd like to just take a good look at those and come back to you with some ideas. We'd like to review the prior parking studies, and Suzanne, we don't want anything new, no new studies. But we would like to look at the existing ones that are in effect and see if there's anything in them that has been, that we may want to look at again and bring back to you. And lastly, we wanted to discuss possible stronger traffic enforcement and code enforcement, and also review the fine amounts. Where, of course, there's a lot of concern, we've heard a lot of concern from the public that our fines don't go up. You know, a contractor starts at 7:30 in the morning on Tuesday and he gets a ticket, but a week later he comes back, does it again, it's still the same ticket. It never gets any worse for him. So sometimes he takes it as being worth the while of doing business. So we'd like to just review those and discuss those. And as you remember, we had agreed when we formed these committees that we would come to you folks for your permission, if you would, to look at these subjects and to see if these are something that you would be considered looking at after we studied them a bit and did a report.
Thank you, Mark. And of course, we really never brought to conclusion what the process is and how we're going to do it. So I think this is a learning experience. I could certainly call for a motion and a vote on each one individually. I think maybe we test this out by just having me ask, does anybody have a question or prohibit any of these items or something? And so I think maybe that's the way I go, unless somebody else has another. You have another option
Yeah, just a question. So,
there?
in my approach, I had submitted, like you in your meeting, got a whole list of future agenda items. I submitted those to Taylor and Lisa, and I'm going to meet with them on Tuesday. We're going to meet and go through those. And my objective in doing that was essentially to vet them, right? Is this something that the city's working on, or is the city's going to take up so they don't want us working on it? Is this something that, I'm going to use a term they're strongly opposed to for whatever the reason could be? So before I brought it back here, or even my plan was to have them vet it, if there are things we should cross off for whatever reason may be, before I went back to the committee, my next committee meeting, we were going to prioritize them and define what we do next. I was going to vet them with Taylor first. So,
But that's all prior to bringing them to
correct,
us.
bring to us. I was going to vet them with Taylor first. So that was what I thought we were going to do, but maybe that was my misunderstanding, Mayor. So.
Well, again, we never came to a
Okay, all
conclusion,
right.
because, we just, the thing, though, I don't know how to proceed at this point.
I believe Mr. Taylor's had opportunity to read them, or Mr. Tedder has opportunity to read them, and if there's any comments on them, we'd be happy to hear them.
Well, if you don't mind, let me precede him, if you don't mind. My comments, we've got 5 here. Discuss and make I think they ought to be done individually, personally, but discuss and make recommendations concerning consolidation of seasonality regulations into 2 seasons. That's something that's been done at least twice formally. I think Evan did something, and then I did something maybe as much as 10 years ago to look at this. Is it time to look at it again? I think I would be fine with that. The number 2, review traffic concerns, including speed limits and calming measures. I want to combine that with study and make recommendations concerning all motor vehicles. And I'm combining that with discuss stronger code and traffic enforcement and review fine amounts. My thing is this ought to go to the experts. And for me, the experts, the chief of police and our police department, I think they should have the first bite at the apple here with that. And then when they have studied it, then let them come back to your committee and say, I need additional help on this or that. And then your last one would be review prior traffic and parking studies. Again, I think those studies and you've got at least 3 or 4 of them, I think, to look through, including Linda Kaufman in the previous group, as well as paid consultant traffic and parking studies, that you could get a lot more ideas from there to bring it back to us and what to study. So that's kind of my take on it. So I'm more for giving you an okay on 2, but let's see what everybody else thinks.
Mayor,
Commissioner Gossett,
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Galani.
So I watched both the City Streets and Safety Advisory and Environment Committee meetings, and I thought they were excellent. I thought there was a ton of citizen engagement. The whole purpose of having these committees is to promote citizen engagement. I think the conversation was really thoughtful. I thought both of the chairmen did an excellent job of distilling the conversation. And I personally think we should move forward on all of these items. I think breaking them up is creating bureaucracy unnecessarily. I think the committees will work with the requisite experts, both the chief of police, the city manager, the city solicitor, and I don't think we should stymie these committees. The people are well-intentioned. They want to have outcomes from this. And I think slowing this down in any way, shape, or form has the unintended consequence of not delivering on what we are here to deliver, and that's results for our citizens. So my recommendation is that we move forward on all of these items.
Fine, thank you. Commissioner Gossett.
Yes, thank you. As I had suggested in a previous meeting when this discussion was going on, that the way in which the material is presented, I think, would be best presented much in fashion after our agenda item report, so that we get a statement, some background, rationale of why this is to be done, so that we can all look at the same document and understand, so that the expectations of the committee and the expectations of what is expected from the commission are managed and equal. And, Mayor, you're saying, well, I like this one, I don't like that one, et cetera. I don't think that is a way to proceed, because we're just hearing verbal comments about what the committee were to present. So if this were more in a written form, a little more formalized in the sense of background, what we're trying to accomplish, and also having the ability for the staff also to look at that, to look at what has taken place in past years or past decades in some regards as to these issues. There are answers that have been provided by committees that have been ignored by the commission on certain circumstances. So I think all of that information is very valuable, and it needs to be looked at. So I think, again, a more formalized presentation of the ideas and the expectations that look to come out of these would be helpful, I think, in moving this forward. Again, it's just a more formalized, modeled after our agenda item report in that regard.
Can I
Anybody
take,
else? Susan Stewart.
I think it's a great job you have done, and I wholeheartedly concur with Commissioner Gallanti. I think the agenda item reports are great, but at a more granular level on each of these, when they're prepared after their study and their collaborative work, they can come with an agenda item report on each of these things, because I really do want to get us from talking about everything forever and move things forward. And, you know, there's a ton of things the city needs. These are a great start, and I know traffic calming is a very important thing. And given what people said when I was out in the campaign trail. So I think you did a great job. I support it. I think we ought to work with all 5 of them.
Can I just
Anybody
say,
else? Commissioner
for anyone
Saunders? Go ahead.
concerned, for your concerns, Mayor, Chief Banks was with us for the 2 hours when we looked at a lot of these ideas, and we listened to a lot of what he had to say, and some of his suggestions are worked into this. And also, to Commissioner Gossett, I realized there is a form being made, but the form wasn't available yet, and we didn't want to wait another month waiting for the form. So that's why we sort of free-formed it, and I think you'll find a copy attached to your
Mayor,
thing there.
Well, let me ask a question for, he mentions form being made. Who is making it?
You were.
I'm throwing my hands up.
You had it up at the workshop.
I'm done.
Don't you remember?
Honestly, if you, it may be you and
No,
Commissioner
we're referring
Thayer
to the
get
one that you
together.
had up here at the workshop, that the form that you wanted us to use.
You and Craig can choose what to do with it.
Okay.
Just agree.
I've done my best, you know, and I have not been real successful.
Mayor?
Now, did anybody, Patrick, you?
Thank you. Just one other comment to make, and I don't disagree that these are issues that need to be addressed and moving forward and what have you. But one element that I don't see reflected in this, and I think we all have to be very conscious of, is staff capacity and also budget. Here's 5 new programs that we want to act on, and we're very excited about it. But we look at challenges we have now with some sense of staffing and skill sets within staffing in this areas. So again, I think that needs to be an element in the equation when we look at these projects and how to accomplish them. Be realistic about that, and be realistic about the time frame that it does to develop and make these things happen, so that none of them, you can't do, I don't think we could, I don't take that back, but it would be a monumental task to take 5 projects from your committee, I don't know how many projects you're going to come up with, and to say, basically, staff, accomplish this, and, you know, what have you. So again, just, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done, but just the awareness of staff capabilities and manpower, staff power to get these things accomplished have got to be a part of the equation along with budget.
Well, I cut Taylor off. Can we give him a few minutes? Do you want to respond to anything? Because you've heard an earful, I think.
Yeah, reviewing the items, I don't have any objection to looking at all of these. I think specifically with the fine amounts that we have been planning as part of the budget process after you potentially pass today, having all the fines and fees in one place, that kind of fits into our budget discussion, so that could be helpful to have recommendations from the committee. And then, of course, you know, with the chief and myself, we can talk about a lot of these other things. So, so whatever direction you'd like to take, we can move forward. So.
I'm just going to
Commissioner
say,
Saunders.
if you don't give us permission today, I don't know if we need a second meeting. What would we do?
Mayor, can I?
Commissioner Good, and then I'll come to you.
Yeah, I would like to echo what Commissioner Gallanti and I believe Commissioner Stewart said, at least on one of the meetings. I watched as much of each of the 2 meetings as time allowed in my case. I was most impressed by the meeting management skills shown by Commissioner Saunders and Commissioner Thayer. They both ran tight meetings, and they, you know, got things done within sort of a reasonable time frame. We should emulate those skills. But my major concern, I'm hearing, and maybe I misheard, but I heard at one point there was some idea that these committees' recommendations would first go to the city manager with his, deputy administrators. And I believe that has gotten us into into trouble in the past, both with negotiations with the county a year ago on the amount of money for the use of our ocean outfall, with the problematic negotiation with the theater in showing, not providing a verifiable, actual tangible written piece of paper that we, the board, could see. So I don't want to go down that road, and I request respectfully that perhaps these committee ideas be run by all of us in some format that respects FOIA, so we can get a consensus among the 7 of us, because we were elected and the city manager was not. So 1 or 2, like say 3 opinions by the city manager and 2 of his staff are not equivalent to the 7 of us deciding whether pursuing, for instance, I'll just give one example, e-bikes. Sometimes our hands are tied. Only homeowners associations, for instance, have the ability, it turns out, to restrict these. I think they're dangerous in some ways because by virtue of going faster and being heavier. But I think that 7 of us should evaluate things rather than returning to what I think has not worked in the past, to get serious analysis of issues where we all can reach some sort of consensus.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm absolutely befuddled, because I think what you described is exactly what this period of time right now that we're supposed to be doing, is evaluating these things. So adding to the process and try to circumvent FOIA or send these things out for individual opinions, I think is ridiculous. I want to bring this, I want to go to the public, but also want to bring it to a close and just say, if there's, I'm going to ask if there's no objections, then we'll let Mark go forward. Now, we're waiting for you. It might be, no, for I don't know if you're going to give any
can I
further
not-
report today versus that. So,
I have a question relating to what Commissioner Gossett said. I guess my vision was, or understanding, is that it's the committee that's going to do this work, and therefore there won't be a added strain on city labor. Am I wrong about that process?
I don't, I believe it will place a burden on it, because all the questions you have about stronger code and traffic enforcement at some point's got to go through the chief. So,
And there are legal implications, things of that nature. We'll work with the committees, but ultimately, I think a good example is the seasonality regulations of in-season, off-season. Like, we'll work with them about what's feasible and not feasible, but yeah, I think we can work with them a reasonable amount, and it can be manageable.
Okay.
Mayor, if I could.
yeah. Are you on this? We're on his topic, not yours.
About his topic.
Is
It's
that
really
right?
more in general. So one, I'm going to say I think we've spent far too much time already talking about this. I'm going to go back to what I said at the last meeting, which is, it's up to Mark and I as the chairs. We need to identify future agenda items, and we need to have what I referred to last time as a period of discovery, where the committees can discuss it and say, hey, is this something we want to pursue or don't want to pursue, before even bringing it to the city manager or to the Board of Commissioners. But when we do that discovery, to me, it's like 1, maybe 2 meetings. But that's up to Mark and I as the chairs to facilitate that, make sure that happens. And then as we go through the process, I agree with Chris and Susan, right? I mean, there's risks here, but let's approve these things. And then it's up to Mark and myself to manage these. And as we go through the process, if it's, we're hearing from Mr. Tedder, or we're hearing from wherever that it's not going to get through, then we have to, it's our job to kill it, so to speak, right? So we've spent enough time talking about this. Let's move on.
We're going to go to the members of the public, but before we do, I want to read a general statement, and it's a note that as we offer opportunities for comment, I want to remind everybody to please wait to be acknowledged by the chair and be given the floor. When a member of the public is recognized, then please come to the center microphone. However, today, we're going to send you over here because this one's not working yet. State your name, address, or relationship to the city, and direct your remarks to the board, not to the audience, and keep your comments focused on the topic at hand. And everybody gets 3 minutes, so we can hear from as many voices as possible. The countdown clock's above this monitor, and it beeps when time's up. And of course, let's keep it respectful so all perspectives can be shared and heard. So again, the topic is vetting Streets and Safety Advisory Committee proposed future agenda topics. Anybody? Hoyt?
So, thank you very much, Hoyt Decker, Laurel Street. I want to start by thanking the mayor because you opened the door, and I would also like to thank Commissioner Saunders for allowing me to come before his committee to make a presentation. And I want to thank the individual members because I think there was a very good discussion about the issues. If I may just make a comment on what your discussion has been, if that's permissible. I've heard from a couple people that say, and I think I heard it just now, that, you know, let's get on with this. You know, let's discuss this and let's make some decisions. Let's not create roadblocks and impediments and slow the process down. Let's get down to business. And I think the committees, forgive me, I'm not familiar with what your first meeting was about, but I was very impressed with the way the meeting was conducted. And I think they came to some very specific results. Where am I? As to my particular topic, traffic comment is very well established, very well established. And even our police chief has commented at that meeting about very specific elements to the process. It's very well established. So I think it's more about whether this city wants to take the action. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Hoyt. Anybody else? All right, thank you. Back to here. Can we settle with Mark? If there's no objections, can he go ahead and continue and just do it?
Make a motion to that effect?
No, I think we're fine.
Thank you, Mark.
We don't need a motion.
Thank you then.
Good job.
Thank you.
Do you want to say something, Commissioner Thayer? Thank you, Mark.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, real quick, first off, I want to thank the members of my committee. I appreciate them volunteering to be on the committee as well as committing the time. So there's 2 items that we had previously approved. One was dark sky, one was lakes management. As far as dark skies go, what the goal is after our next meeting, which will be the 2nd week in January, we will submit to Taylor and Lisa proposed draft code for dark sky, as well as a separate document that is educational material. So we're going to be submitting it to Lisa and Taylor for their review and consideration. Lakes management, we had a very brief conversation, nothing of note. As I already mentioned, we do have a future list of agenda items that I've submitted to Taylor and Lisa, and I'm gonna meet with them on Tuesday and go through those. So, thank you.
Very good, thank you. And as a report for the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk Historic Designation Task Force, we have had 1 solicitation. The second one went out today in Lines of the Sand, and we'll be submitting something to the Cape Gazette, so that'll be 2 sets of solicitations. I expect to make appointments at the December regular meeting.
May I ask a question about?
Commissioner Good?
Yeah, I mean, I was struck when the Boardwalk Historical Committee, you know, was almost without any discussion, soliciting not only Rehoboth Beach stakeholders, taxpayers, et cetera, but we're like going out of our way to encourage people who live somewhere else to belong. And I thought we had tried to get away from that strange precedent. I mean, there really aren't a lot of towns in this country which have non-residents, non-business owners, non-stakeholders in some capacity serving on committees. So I would respectfully request that when these applications, populate your inbox or whatever, there be some discussion as to whether we can limit it to just in-town Rehoboth Beach folks. Now, maybe there are insufficient numbers of those who have familiarity with, the national, that Society for Historic Preservation or whatever, but is anyone else concerned about the way we're sort of encouraging outside non-taxpayers, non-business owners to be involved in this?
Mayor, can you give us an example? I didn't know that we were.
Well, the solicitation for applications actually says that both, I mean, I've seen it in several places. In fact, maybe the mayor could confirm that we're asking for 2 different categories of people, both in-town people and everyone else. And I thought we had laid that topic to rest some time ago, like over a year ago, where we were going to prioritize making sure our committees don't draw from, people who happen to be tourists here 2 weeks of the year, who may have some background in historic preservation. I understand that.
All righty, well, let me do some research on that. I believe it's in the handbook as well as in agenda item reports that I produced, but let me do some research on that and get back to you.
Thank you.
With that, this topic, we'll go back to the public and then we'll move on from there. Chief, you're next.
Carolyn Diefendorfer, city resident. I would just say that based on the work that Main Street has done on the post office, there are people in this area who have skills related to this that do not live in town. And the focus of this task force seems to be very narrow. And when you have something like that, I think going outside of town for that skill set should be fine. I was somebody who thought that there is value to letting people with specific skills be on any of the committees as non-voting members. I was all for that, because if you can get what I'll refer to as free expertise, why not take it? But with this task force, the focus of it is very specific, and I think going outside of town is warranted for the skills needed to write up that historical designation. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you. And I do want to clarify, so the task force is comprised of 7 to 9 members, and it's primarily comprised of residents, property owners, and business owners. And it may include selected members with special related experience who live outside the city limits, but experience in historic preservation or complementary fields is preferred. And those task force members will be recommended and chosen by the mayor and confirmed by this board. So you will be making that decision yourselves, and it's your decision.
Thank you. I'd like to end that conversation with that. Thank you. The chief had an update on pole barn, and I didn't give him an opportunity, so I'd like to insert that right now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, commissioners, and general public. In the CIP this year, it was approved to build a 40 by 30 building. It is being located in the employee parking lot in the back. This is to house the department's UTVs, message boards, bike patrol, safety equipment in general. We did have two minor, why we had to request to begin with is we had two little sheds out there, many years old, had replaced the roof shingle several times. It was just dry rotted and falling down around us. So we needed this, and even with those sheds, we couldn't bring in our equipment, so it sat outside and rusting and things. So thank you for approving that. So you did approve 80,000 was budgeted. We started the construction after the summer season, and we hope to be completed by the end of December, 1st of January. All permits and plans have been submitted to and approved by the city and building a license. We did end up with 3 quotes, and we did award the contract to Pole Buildings Unlimited. At this time, we do anticipate an overage of $7,192.20. The reason for that is after working with the building license, Public Works, the city manager and assistant city manager, we decided to move the location of the building and towards the back. It would free up some additional parking spaces. And then to level out the where the old shed was, to level that out so we could use as parking spaces. So with the additional concrete work and on the backside, the building license kind of wanted for the drainage to kind of have some curbing on the backside for the water flow. So we did decide on that. And originally when we had the proposal, we were going to put this building on top of our asphalt. Again, working with building license afterwards, they decided it would be better to pull that out, put topsoil in, and then go with the concrete. So that was the overage there of the $7,000 that was approved by the city manager to do that. The good news is overall, so there won't be any more. That is the final difference. And the good news is overall our general budget, which is in the CIP, of course, is under budget in many, many different areas. So it shouldn't affect our overall budget by no means. That is all that I have at this time. We did not have any CIPs for the Beach Patrol or Dispatch Center, so that would conclude. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of the chief? Thank you, chief. Appreciate it. We'll move right on. Next agenda topic is community partner reports from the Chamber of Commerce and Main Street. They are embedded in the agenda. Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you, Main Street. Also, we received, too late to embed in the agenda, a partner report from the library. That'll be embedded sometime early next week so that can be accessed by the public. With that, there are no old business items identified. We'll move right on to new business. A, consider 2 ordinances establishing a schedule of fees and penalties. We have 3 support documents, but we're acting on 2 ordinances, I believe. Evan, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, and members of the public. This is a follow-up to the last discussion we had on the schedule of fees and penalties, which was presented at the workshop meeting this month. So on the agenda for your consideration today are the 2 ordinances. Just to recap briefly, I won't go into too much detail, but we are actually pulling out any reference to fees and penalties from the city code and adopting them separately in what's referred to as a schedule of fees and penalties. So in both of the ordinances, one ordinance removes any reference to a fee, the other ordinance removes any reference to a penalty. In both of those ordinances, you'll see the fee or penalty amount have been removed, and in its place has been a reference to a schedule of fees and penalties. The ordinances remain almost identical to how they were presented at the last meeting. However, there was some discussion about maybe some wordsmithing changes that we had. So in several areas of both ordinances, it referenced either the fee or penalty shall be as established. And so we removed that reference and just said the fee or penalty is established in the schedule of fees and penalties. So a copy of the schedule is the first attachment in the agenda, and then the subsequent attachments are the 2 ordinances for your consideration. And that's all I have to report. I will just mention too that assuming that the ordinances are approved and adopted today, we will place the schedule of fees and penalties in E-code. So if you go into the city code online, there's a menu on the left-hand side. There's actually an icon for documents. If you click on documents, we already have a reference to a fee schedule. That is our wireless communication fee schedule. So we will add it to that section there under fee schedule. And then we'll likely also put it on the city website, probably under the financial documents, just to make it available in as many places as possible.
So if you would, let's just reiterate or emphasize that the fee schedule here is all the existing or current fees, that there's no changes that have been made whatsoever. This is just a formatting issue, correct?
Yes.
So is there any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Galante?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Evan, great work. I think this makes a ton of sense. I did go through the entire fee structure. I thought there were some very interesting fines that the city imposes for, reading tarot cards and leaf reading and things along those lines. I thought that was quite comical. Big fees for those things too, by the way, $1,500. Curious, what is our process or what is the schedule for revisiting these fees? It feels to me like we've got some very antiquated numbers in here. I've heard probably at least 2 instances during this meeting so far where that has come up as a topic. So
Taylor
I feel a couple people jumping in. I'd like to know.
Yeah, so this is the first step to get everything in one place because it was difficult going through the code, seeing, okay, here's a fee, here's a fine, just spread throughout. So now it'll be in one place. And during the budget process, we do plan to bring this schedule to you. And in subsequent years, every year, take a look at it. Maybe, we want to give the tarot card readers a break. So.
And I will just add to that too. So the city staff actually went through an exercise. It was probably about a year ago to begin to update or make recommendations to changes to fees and penalties. So we have a lot of that work already completed. We will go through that process administratively to review them again, and we'll likely just provide recommendations to you all for your consideration. So it's not, a substantial discussion about going through each fee individually, but rather we'll kind of make some recommendations to start off.
So as part of the budget, I'm new, right? So part of the budget cycle would be in the March timeframe?
So we'll start our budget meetings in January.
Okay.
Yeah, so in one of the series of budget meetings, we will have this as an item for your consideration.
And just so process-wise, what is the anticipation finalization of those when we go through that process, when the revisions, when will they be effective? Will they be effective with the next fiscal year?
Typically fiscal year.
Fiscal year, okay, so we could expect that this would be completed by April?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Mayor?
Commissioner Good?
I know, Mr. Miller, it's probably an oversight, but I noted that there's still a fee for parking at Deauville Beach. I believe it's on page 49. And lest the constituents think we've forgotten them, that's still a priority, I believe, of mine and some of my colleagues to work with the State Parks Authority and, change the jurisdiction over Deauville, over like the Oak Avenue, Pennsylvania Avenue beaches. But it remains there. I guess it's just a vestige of when Rehoboth still had control, as it still should, but doesn't, of Deauville Beach.
Well, let's do this. If there are any changes or corrections, would you contact Evan directly? And Evan, would you work on that and do a red line version if indeed there are any changes to the fee schedule?
Mayor, if I could?
What?
Mayor, if I could, please?
Wait, what? Commissioner Thayer, go ahead.
Thank you. Can we just, I'd like to just go ahead and, I think Patrick has a motion. I'd like him to just go ahead and do the
Well,
motion. I
let
think,
me-
as Evan had said, they're going to work on the fees.
Let me go to the public first. We've got the fee schedule in front of us, then we have 2 ordinances. One is to take the fees out of the code currently and put them in the fee schedule, and the second ordinance is to remove the penalty amounts from the current code and put them in thing. Is there anybody, members of the public, who'd like to comment? If not, I would ask for a motion. Patrick?
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance to remove fee amounts from individual chapters of the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach.
Second.
Excuse me. We have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gossin, a second by Commissioner Chris Galani to approve an ordinance to remove fee amounts from individual chapters of the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll do a roll call vote. Or let's do a group vote to start with. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you much. I would entertain a second motion.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance to remove penalties amounts from individual chapters of the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gossett and a second by Commissioner Chris Galani to amend and to adopt an ordinance to remove penalty amounts from individual chapters of the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and the motion's carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Evan. While you're up there, do you want to? Can we cheat and skip forward to the fireworks? Are you ready for that?
Do that, sure.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So item D in the agenda today is to discuss and consider executing a fireworks contract for 2026. Just to provide a little bit of a background, so we had a 3-year contract with Zambelli Fireworks. The proposed contract and the celebration, if you will, both of those documents are embedded in the agenda. So we did have a 3-year contract with Zambelli Fireworks for 2023, 2024, and 2025. That contract saw a 12% increase year over year. So the 2025 show cost was 12% more than the 2024 show cost, and the 24 show cost was 12% more than the 2023. So 12% increase year over year. The contract that you'll see embedded in the agenda is for 1 year. The vendor is Zambelli. They did not want to commit to another 3-year contract only because of the uncertainty related to tariffs. So they said that the most that they could do is a 1-year contract. So the contract amount is $57,200. So rather than the sort of 12% increase that we had been used to year over year from the prior 3-year contract, this was a 22% increase. And I want to talk about 2 reasons why that is. So the first reason and the main reason is it's going to be a larger show. So this year is the 250th anniversary of Independence Day. We think it's very important that we do something extra for the community. And so we are planning a larger show. Embedded in the agenda, as I said before, is the celebration. And so the body of the program, typically we do about 700 shells. This year it's going to be increased to 912 shells. And then the finale portion of the program, typically we do 780 shells. That has been increased to 990 shells. So we're planning to have a phenomenal show this year, and we're really excited about that possibility. The second reason is they had to add a tariff surcharge. Over the course of certainly the last year, they've seen that their tariff rates have changed several times. So they needed to build in some type of cushion there. And so again, part of the rationale that they provided was tariff prices. I do want to read into the record just one change to the contract that was made since we received and embedded the contract into the agenda, and that is to paragraph 15 of the document embedded. And the draft that you'll see in the agenda references the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in that paragraph. So we have updated the contract, specifically paragraph 15 to read, and I want to read the entirety of the paragraph, the new paragraph, into the record. That is, this contract shall be deemed made in the state of Delaware and shall be construed in accordance with the laws of the state of Delaware, excluding its conflict of law rules. The parties agree and consent to the jurisdiction of the courts of the state of Delaware and the Federal District Court for the state of Delaware to decide all disputes regarding this contract. So if there is a motion to approve the contract today with Zambelli, I just respectfully request that you include in that motion the change to paragraph 15 as read into the record. So again, we're really excited about this possibility. I think we even have a press release plan to, if the vote is positive, to get the word out so that people can, when they start to think about 4th of July plans and what everybody's doing, Rehoboth Beach is top of mind. So that's all I have to present, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Zambelli Fireworks contract with the Zambelli Fireworks Manufacturing Company in the city of Rehoboth Beach, as described in the contract for display on July 5th, 2026, in the amount of $57,200, and also updating paragraph 15 of the contract to reflect comments made by Assistant Manager Evan Miller to reflect Delaware as opposed to Pennsylvania.
Second.
We have a motion by, is there any members of the public? Nope. We have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gossett and a second by Commissioner Suzanne Good, essentially to award contract to Zambelli Fireworks for the July 5th, 2026 fireworks in the amount of $57,200, and noting the one change to add the state of Delaware in there. Are there any further discussion?
Question, if I may?
Yes, Commissioner.
I'm all for it. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm just wondering, with all the more bigger crowds and so forth we get, has there been any thought to putting the fireworks out into the water on a barge so that that huge amount of beach would not be taken up by the fireworks themselves?
That has been, so typically, and the chief may be able to speak to this more than I could, but a lot of where we shoot the fireworks from comes from fire marshal, and sometimes it comes down to how the beach looks that day. I think from what I've heard, it's a lot easier to shoot fireworks off of a bay versus an ocean because you never know what the tide's gonna do, what the wave action looks like. And I don't know that the fire marshal would ever approve something like that, only because out in the ocean, there's more, the waves can impact where they're shooting, and so we don't want to risk anything going towards any of the establishments, any of the buildings. So the safest route we've always taken, and certainly the cheapest route, has been to shoot the fireworks off from the beach. The location, again, may change depending on fire marshal requirements, but usually we go out a couple days before, get a lay of the beach, and then determine exactly where they're going to go off. So occasionally we have received some complaints from folks that say, well, you used to do it here, why are you doing it here this year? All it comes down to is fire marshal approval. They're the ones that need to sign off on, where the fireworks are launched from.
Just concerned it's prime beach that we're giving up to plant them in.
Right.
Well, let me share some of my experiences with it. They used to use a barge and a tugboat out there in the old days. And the old days was, say, 15, 20 years ago, it was up to $40,000 extra for the tugboat. And then it was problematic because you'd run into weather events and stuff. And I know one year they had a delay because somebody was angry at them and called the Coast Guard on them, and it delayed it for several years. Do you recall that, Carol? Yeah. So that was a mess. But I tell you, there's nothing for me prettier, though, than fireworks going off in the ocean because you see the reflection in addition to what's overhead. But the cost is there. Now, remember, in the old days, Rehoboth Beach Main Street used to absorb all the costs. Yeah. And I can remember going out on behalf of Main Street, knocking doors for businesses. The businesses weren't too happy with me asking for money, but I'm sure it could be double that at this point. Yeah. So I'm sorry. So let me. Anybody else? Where are we?
Ready to vote.
Motion and a second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for the contract, award the contract $57,200, et cetera, et cetera. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and the contract motion is unanimous. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to move on to two items of new business that are somewhat related. Consider adoption of a resolution setting a public hearing on the subject of amending the CDP future land use map, et cetera. And then, are you going to combine?
Yes.
Combine them both. The second one is item B that's related to item C. Consider adoption of a resolution setting a public hearing on the subject of amending the Rehoboth Beach zoning map, et cetera. Lisa's going to give a clear explanation.
Thank you, Mayor. Today, Commissioners, you're being asked to consider two resolutions to conduct public hearings following the request of the applicant, D.F. Quillen & Son, to rezone the parcel of land known as 60 Sussex. The applicant is the owner of what is commonly referred to as the Cultured Pearl Building, which includes lots 61, 81, 101, which touch Sussex Street, 4th Street, Lake Avenue, and a small portion of Rehoboth Avenue and 60 Sussex. The applicant has requested that 60 Sussex be rezoned from R2 to C1 to reflect the commercial use of the structure. If approved, The public hearing could be conducted on December 19th, 2025, and would be discussing a potential amendment to both the future land use map in the City of Rehoboth's Comprehensive Development Plan, the CDP, and then if that is successful, an amendment to the zoning map. I'd like to take just a moment to explain why we are scheduling 2 public hearings and discussing a potential amendment to the future land use map before any consideration can be given to a zoning map change. Under Delaware law and under our own city code, all zoning regulations and zoning map amendments must be consistent with our city's comprehensive development plan. The comprehensive plan sets out our long-range policy direction for land use, and the future land use map is the part of that plan that identifies how different areas of the city are intended to develop over time. If a property's current future land use designation does not align with the zoning district that is being requested, the city is required to amend the comprehensive plan and therefore the future land use map before a zoning map amendment can be considered. This matter has been presented to you before in February 2024, wherein you referred the matter to the Planning Commission for its consideration. The Planning Commission unanimously voted to recommend approval of the request with conditions. This is not a matter on the merits. You are simply voting to conduct a public hearing.
To schedule public hearing.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Is there any discussion among the commissioners? Again, in front of us are 2 resolutions, one setting a public hearing to amend the future land use map. The second resolution sought to adopt would be amending the zoning as request from R2 to C1. Is there any discussion? I want to go to the members of the public first. Are there any members of the public want to say anything? Nope. Thank you very much. Then in that case, I would entertain a motion for the future land use map first, please.
I would make a
What?
motion.
Susan has it.
I move that we schedule a public hearing on December 19th, 2025, at the regular meeting of the Mayor and Commissioners on the subject of amending the Comprehensive Development Plan Future Land Use Map by changing the zoning designation of the property identified as Lot 60, Sussex Street, from R2 to C1.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Susan Stewart and a second by Commissioner Chris Galani to schedule a public hearing on December 19th, 2025 at the regular meeting of the Mayor and Commissioners on the subject of amending the Comprehensive Development Plan Future Land Use Map by changing the zoning designation of the property identified as Lot 60, Sussex Street, from R2 to C1. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and the motion is carried unanimous. I will now entertain a motion for consideration of the second motion, scheduling a second public hearing the same day.
Mayor and Commissioners, I move that we schedule a public hearing on December 19th, 2025, at the regular meeting of the Mayor and Commissioners on the subject of amending the Rehoboth Beach zoning map by changing the zoning designation of the property identified as Lot 60, Sussex Street, from R2 to C1.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Susan Stewart and a second by Commissioner Chris Galani to schedule a public hearing on December 19th, 2025 at the regular meeting of this Mayor and Commissioners on the subject of amending the Rehoboth Beach zoning map by changing the zoning designation of the property identified as Lot 60, Sussex Street, from R2 to C1. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll do a group vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? And the motion is carried unanimously. So both resolutions are adopted. We have a public hearing, 2 public hearings scheduled for December 19th. With that, our next item of business is to review future meeting dates. On Monday, December 8th at 9 o'clock is a workshop meeting. The following Friday, December 19th at 2 o'clock is a regular meeting. And with that, we move on to citizen comment. This is for your opportunity to comment on things that are not on the agenda. Anybody? No? With that, are there any commissioner announcements or comments?
Susan, you go first.
Commissioner Stewart?
Mayor, thank you. I think we're on a roll here with this terrific panel, and I would ask that we have every meeting be a voting meeting. I've talked to the city manager and the solicitor, and there's no regulatory or legal requirements causing us to have a workshop meeting and then a regular meeting. And I find that we're talking about things for multiple meetings, and we're voting on taking a vote, and that seems to be really inefficient. And so I wanted to hear from other commissioners whether they like the idea or support it.
Mayor, if I could?
Do we have a majority that support it? We'll put it on an agenda for discussion. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Stewart. I think with the introduction of the future agenda items, one of the things that that allows is not just the commissioners, but the entire community knows what's coming up, knows the dates of when those are going to be. So where in the past where we didn't know what was going to be in the future, and maybe there was an argument that we needed to have 2 meetings, introduce it, people know we were talking about it, then give them a chance to come back in the future. I don't think that's necessary anymore. I think, as Commissioner Stewart had said, I think a lot of the agenda items that we talk about can just be, introduced in a meeting, resolved in that same meeting, and voted on. So, and I would just add to that, if something gets introduced and it needs to go to another meeting, it has to come back at the next meeting. It can't come back 3 or 4 meetings later. So to Mr. Tedder, just take that as, not that you're not being prepared, but just when something is coming before the Board of Commissioners, have it ready. And if there's any sort of feedback, you can then pivot and bring it back at the following meeting. So again, not just things are done in one meeting, but things that have to go to a second meeting, they're done within 2 consecutive meetings. I hope that made sense. So, and again, that isn't meant to reflect negatively on you. It's just, being prepared, being prepared. So thank you.
That's fine, thank you. If there's no objection, if there's no objections, I'll put it on a future agenda. I want it on an agenda so that I can give my point of view and everybody can give their point of view. This is not the time to be debating it. because
Not
it's not
debate,
on-
but clarification. May I
Commissioner
have the floor?
Good and then Commissioner Klein.
Thank you. So, I think, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with this, and I certainly don't have any objections to it, but it seems like what we've done in recent past is the workshop is often followed by various special meetings, because special meetings allow votes to be held. So this plan, I assume, would obviate this endless series of special meetings, with maybe a few exceptions if there were like a pandemic again or some calamity. Is that the goal, that we would have just meetings and we wouldn't have this different moniker of special meetings or workshops?
Well, again, I'm trying to get this on a future agenda so we can propose those, or you can ask your questions and we can answer them in a full noticed forum. And
Mayor?
Mayor,
give
if I
the
could.
members of the public the opportunity to speak.
If I may, this is an administrative issue. It's not a voting public input. It has been overkill, and we're simply trying to bring it back to what's necessary. And that doesn't require putting it on another meeting for agenda. It's kind of actually a example of kind of the challenges that we've been facing. And I understand that there's nothing in our charter or practice with other cities that it's done this way.
I will add, the only thing that we have to be cognizant of is the scheduling of the actual meetings. So right now, workshops are Mondays, regular meetings are Fridays, but the time between a workshop and a regular meeting at this point is short. So turning something around is very difficult for us to have on a subsequent meeting. So really what we need is an agenda item to talk about this, whether you want to go with just Monday meetings or Friday meetings, and maybe not have the 2 different, if that's what you want to do. We just have to have sufficient time between the meetings to turn something around,
Need
which
a
is
month.
possible.
You need a month, which makes understandable, yeah.
I guess I'm not following when you say turn things around, right? Because I think that the goal would be it's introduced in a meeting, we vote on it at that meeting. Okay, putting aside, regular meeting, special meeting, let's just get rid of those monikers for a second. It's going to get introduced in a meeting, we're going to vote on it at that meeting. If there's a situation where we can't get through the item, for whatever reason that is, I'm just looking for you to bring it back at the very next meeting. So it then becomes kind of incumbent on you to make sure that this thing is ready to go, right? So that you can bring it back if it's 10 days later or 3 weeks later, or maybe it's you're going to, because we have more time between the regular meeting and the next meeting, maybe you introduce that at a regular meeting, which gives you some additional time before we get to the next meeting. I guess the point I'm making is, and I think to Commissioner Stewart's point, and I think everyone else's point is, really, we're looking to kind of rewrite the rules here. So, maybe that means the meeting dates, change a little bit. I don't know. We're just trying to get through stuff in one meeting, I think is your point, right?
Right.
Everything else is kind of on the table, so let
I
us know what
completely
you
understand.
think. So.
But in those varying occasions of bringing something to another meeting, 3 days is not enough time for us to turn around, build the agenda, update things. So if we could look at the meeting days, that would be ideal.
Yeah, and it'll be a learning experience for all of us. So I think the point from Commissioner Stewart, and I think some of the others here, is we should get through stuff at one meeting. And if that means we're going to vote at every meeting that we have, then let's vote at every meeting that we have.
Well, again, my path forward would be to put this on a future agenda. We've got a member of the public that wants to speak, and
Mr. Mayor, can I just jump in real quick before we go to the public?
Until we agendize this topic. Commissioner Galante?
So I'm all about saving time, saving money, creating efficiencies, and I think the outcome of this change will be a positive one. I hearken back to 2 last workshop meetings where we had really thorough presentations that we then had to subsequently go through at a subsequent meeting to then vote on. And that is not a good use of our consultants' time, and it's not a good use of our time. Recognize that there might be instances where, a topic does not get properly adjudicated and we cannot resolve. And obviously that would be an instance where we would want to, continue the discussion and have it go to a subsequent meeting time. But I'm a proponent of moving forward with this and implementing this as an outcome of this meeting.
I hear you. I'm not committing to anything, but we'll further confer. Okay?
We'll talk about it on the next meeting. We'll talk about this topic.
Like I said, I'd like to put it on the agenda so that everybody can.
Okay.
We've had all these
Next
conversations.
meeting. Taylor, we'll get it
People
on.
have already up here talking about the merits
Okay,
of it without ever having noticed it to the public.
It's not
That's all I'm
something that
asking.
needs to be noticed, Mayor, is the point. There are lines of things that have to go to a public hearing, and there are things that don't.
Well, my philosophy has always been to allow the public to comment, and this is not doing it. Thank you.
Carolyn wants to speak.
You want to say something now? Huh?
So where is it going to be on the next agenda?
We're in citizen comment, so,
Oh, yeah.
No, we're in
we're in commissioner comment. We've already gotten beyond it, so just hang tight and we'll get you up some other time. Are there any other commissioner announcements or comments? You
On a
had
less
something.
controversial subject. Last night, the Cape Pendleton Senior Center had a fundraising event, and they wanted me to thank you, the commissioners, Mr. Tedder, Mr. Miller, everybody downstairs. Joe Hagel was wonderful, and it's important for them to say that everything went so well, and they couldn't have been more pleased with the cooperation of City of Rehoboth Beach, and thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Commissioner Galante?
I was just going to thank Mark for everything that he did to make it happen. It was a fantastic event, super fun, great community time, so thank you.
All right, with that, no further business. This meeting is adjourned at 3:34. Thank you.
Touche.
Touche.